Connecting.
Hey there guys, and welcome to EVE Basics. I'm Hendrick Tallardar, and in this video we'll be going over some of the simple steps in learning how to fly a spaceship in EVE Online. To start, we begin in a space station. To undock your ship, or if you're in a capsuleer pod, you simply need to select the Undock button. This begins a short session change, in which you'll be transported from inside the station to the outside. The immediate area off a station's docking bay is referred to as an undock. In this example, you can see a variety of ships that are using the station's undock. You may also notice some different icons floating in space associated with objects, such as a planet or a moon. This is just one of the several different ways the UI can help you find an orbital body to fly your ship towards. Another way is to use the overview window, found on the right-hand side of the screen. This window can be customized to serve various needs for the user. The overview is an important tool, but for now we'll focus on flying, and we'll come back to the overview in a different video. One very useful tool of the overview is the function to filter out different object types, such as a filter solely showing spaceships, and a filter solely showing planets and moons. These are useful for different aspects of EVE Online's gameplay. Once we've chosen a celestial body to warp to, such as this moon, we can do several things. The first useful tip for warping to an object in space is to align to it before you enter warp. This helps in making sure that your ship is oriented in the correct direction, and also lessens the time it takes your ship to enter warp. For a ship to enter warp, it needs to reach 75% of its maximum speed, and being aligned to an object helps reduce this time. You can also warp to an object at different ranges, such as at 0 meters or at a maximum of 100 kilometers. This is useful for a variety of reasons, such as avoiding a Stargate with hostile players on it looking to attack, or to warp to a Celestial while avoiding enemy ships, but not being at 0, where you can get caught by enemy players. When traveling, it's generally a good idea to warp to a Stargate at 100 kilometers to avoid any hostile ships, as it gives you enough time to warp away if there are any enemies around. If you want to find a specific system to travel to, you can select the People and Places window and search for the system name. You can also find an adjacent system to the system you are currently in by left-clicking your current system's name in the top left and opening the Adjacent Systems tab. Generally, you'll want to use the People and Places window more, but the Adjacent Systems tab can come in handy when aimlessly flying around space. Once you've found a system to travel to, you simply right-click its name and select Set Destination. This also works with traveling to a station. When you've done that, you'll see a series of icons show up under the route icon, which shows you how many systems you need to travel through to reach your destination. The route icon will also show the system security status of these different systems you must travel through. This is covered in more detail in the video on the in-game user interface. Once your route is planned, you will also see Stargates which lead to systems that correspond to your route appear as yellow in the overview window. This helps you easily identify which Stargates to warp to and in which order. In this example, we're going to simply warp to the Stargate at 0 meters. Ships can also orbit a designated target. The maximum range a ship can orbit a target, regardless of if it is friendly or not, is 30 kilometers. Orbiting a target is useful when in a fleet, as members of the fleet will automatically follow whomever they are orbiting unless the target enters warp. Orbiting also helps a ship keep range if their offensive weapons require it. To orbit, you simply right-click a target, select Orbit, and then choose Range. In order to use a station, Stargate, or a wormhole, a player cannot have an active aggression timer. This is a timer that is generated when a player engages in an offensive activity, such as shooting another player. Having an active timer will prohibit the player from using any of these objects, and can cause them to be on the wrong side of a ship, exploding. It's generally a good idea to make sure your ship has no aggression timer when you try to use a Stargate. To use a Stargate, you simply right-click and select Jump. You can also choose the Jump option in the Selected Items window when you've selected the Stargate. Using a Stargate or a wormhole gives a player a temporary cloak when they've entered the next system that this connection provides. This is a timed cloak, but it can be broken whenever a player moves their ship if the time hasn't ran out. It's a game mechanic that allows a player to see if there are any enemies on the other side of a Stargate that they couldn't have seen before. And it also allows them time to quickly assess their situation and what to do next. There are mechanics a player can use utilizing this cloak that we cover in other videos. Since we are in a different system, you may have noticed that the different orbital bodies, such as the stations and Stargates, are at different ranges than in the previous system. That is because each system is different from its neighbors, and all the in-game star systems have varying ranges between orbital bodies. These ranges affect how long a warp should take a ship to reach. It goes without saying that the shorter the range, the quicker it takes a ship to warp to. Ships also have different warp speeds depending on the size. A smaller ship can reach a destination much more quickly than a larger ship. Now that we've reached a new station in a different system, we can simply dock by right-clicking and selecting the dock option. Flying in EVE is that easy, though there are of course more complex mechanics you can learn, which we will cover in their own individual videos.
Skill training completed.